If you're from Bowling Green, Kentucky, you have probably seen the American flag guy. I always see him around town. I always see people posting about him on Facebook, and they're always wondering, who is this guy? What's his story? Well, let's take a walk with Jim, aka the American flag walker, and hear what he has to say.
Jim, how you doing?
Good, Jared. How are you, man?
Doing great. So tell me what we're doing today.
We are gonna go for a walk, man. We're gonna do some sweating.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
So, Jim, are we going like around the block or like around the neighborhood or?
Actually, we are gonna go around Bowling Green. The main part of Bowling Green. We'll jump on the bypass and then down Cemetery Road, all the way down to Scottsville Road, and then back around to the bypass.
How many miles is that?
About 9.5, give or take.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
You gonna be able to make it?
We'll try.
Okay. I mean, you could have had a sauna jacket on. I got a sauna jacket on
You
underneath.
have a sauna jacket on?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That makes you sweat even more, man. That's the part of it that it is the best part, is the sweating part.
That's the least favorite part of it.
I love sweating, man.
Oh my gosh. All right. Ooh, there's some road blockage up there.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of people honking at you like that?
Yep.
Does it ever get old or?
No, absolutely not. That's motivation, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's a lot of the reason why I do it, is to remind people that we live in one of the greatest countries in the world, and people need to be reminded of that, because hopefully you won't hear it today, but the ones that don't understand, you'll hear them, they'll drive by and they'll say, yeah, USA, or whatever, F Trump or whatever. It's like, it's not politically motivated. I'm not doing this for Trump. I'm not doing it for Biden or anything like that. I do this for veterans and to remind people of where we live at in one of the greatest countries in the world. And I wish that people would stop and talk to me and ask me instead of assuming.
So what happens more often than not, the support or the jeering, the kind of?
Support, okay. Absolutely, 100%, yeah. You'll see people either wave, you can tell military members and stuff, because they'll salute, or, they'll just, you'll see people with their hands out their window.
Yeah. Fist pumping.
Yeah, fist pumping.
America.
I mean, you can tell the genuine people versus people that are just trying to get a rise.
Right.
And all that. And I entertain them enough to the point where I just wave and just keep on going.
And that's about all you can do. I mean, so Jim, kind of tell me a little bit about yourself. Why are you out here? Like, what's with the flag?
So the main reason why I'm out here, as far as for myself, is for my health. Back in 2014, I went through a really nasty divorce. Plus, I lost my sister that year, and anxiety and depression caught up with me. And I woke up one night, thought I was having a heart attack, weighed probably 300 pounds, and I was like, you know what, I gotta get my crap together. And so I started walking to deal with depression, to deal with anxiety, but also to get weight off of me.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to Corona 2020, there was a group of protesters that was supposed to be coming through Bowling Green, and so they took all the flags down around City Hall and everything else. Very next day, started carrying a flag, because I mean, there's a lot of great people that have died and fought wars and everything else to protect us and our rights and everything else. So why take our flags down,
Right.
So I started carrying the flag. Little did I know, like, it was just going to become an everyday thing, because
So you do this every day?
just about every day. I get up every day before work to exercise. I do average of about 5 to 6 miles every day through the week. Of course, I work 2 jobs, so if it's a day that I don't have to work at my other job, then I'll either walk or go to the gym in the afternoon after I get off. So if it's a day that I walk, then I average about 10 miles a day.
So if you're not working, you're working out?
Exactly. Because, I mean, people don't realize it, that when you get involved in your health and taking care of your health, it gets addictive.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can either get into it to where you want to see the results of what you're doing, or you can just say, oh, I'm just going to go out and walk for the heck of it, you know?
Yeah.
Or exercise for the heck of it, you know? And for me, it just became something that I really wanted to do because I got tired of being overweight. It just wasn't working for me.
Yeah, well, that's good that you're able to kind of control your own fate and put fate in your hands and say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to settle for anything less, and just going to try to better myself. I think that's pretty admirable.
Yep. And then I got to thinking about veterans. You know, I work in an outpatient chemotherapy area, and I see veterans come in. The hoops that they have to jump through to get their care and stuff, man, it's ridiculous. Yeah. You know, they should never have to want for anything as far as health care and stuff like that. Yeah. So I wanted to do something else for them, just to, it doesn't seem like a lot, but for veterans who, like Vietnam veterans and things like that, every little bit means the world to them. Right. And so I decided, I want to give this flag to somebody. I want them to know why I carried it, what I did it for, and to know that I appreciate everything that they've done for me, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to go out and do the things that I want to do. Right. And so I found a veteran that was coming in for treatment. I talked to his wife, found out his story and everything else, and I told her what I wanted to do, and she was absolutely thrilled. That's awesome. And so it was like a little over 650 miles I'd had on that flag, and he was
650.
Yeah. And I got a shadow box, folded it like it's supposed to be folded, and he was actually in the hospital whenever I presented it to him. And man, just to see the look on his face and to know that you know, I wasn't trying to make a spectacle of him, but I was trying to honor him and everything else. Right. I presented him that flag, and we became like the greatest of friends.
That's awesome.
And you know, every time he'd come in, just about, you know, they would tell me about where he'd put his flag at home and how he looks at it all the time and everything else. And that made me feel good, because I know that he knows that I appreciate what he did for me. Right. Not just me, but for everybody else. Right. So I have, since starting that, presented 15 flags, I believe. I'd have to count them all up. There's been so many.
The veteran community, that is one thing about America maybe that I think we can maybe do better at, is treating our veterans better when they get out.
Exactly. So a little unknown fact about Vietnam veterans. Vietnam veterans were not welcomed home the way that they should have been. You know, they were called baby killers and things like that. So a lot of Vietnam veterans, whenever they would come home, they would not come home in their uniform. They didn't want to be associated. They didn't want people to know, because they were treated so bad. So if you ever see a Vietnam veteran out, you know, generally they'll have a hat on that says Vietnam veteran or whatnot. Walk up to them, say, you know, obviously tell them thank you for their service, but then say welcome home, because Vietnam veterans were never welcomed home, and they will automatically know exactly what you're talking about, and they will look you in the eye and they will say thank you very much. And I mean, just two simple words mean so much to people that, I mean, it's just unreal.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
I like that. So we're on Cemetery Road right now. It's kind of a busy road, Jim. Like, are you okay with like all these cars coming at you?
Absolutely. I mean, most of the time, especially in this area here, I'm eyes up, looking at them, trying to make sure that they notice me. And then if they don't notice me, then I'll stop and step off the side of the road to make sure that, you know, at least I'm going to be safe. Who knows what they're doing in their car? They could be looking at their phone and making sure. And then I always try to acknowledge the people that get over and see me, just for simply paying attention, you know, because so last week, my cousin, he's a KSP officer. He was actually killed last week. He was a motorcycle rider, and some lady wasn't paying attention, didn't see him, and pulled out in front of him and everything else. So it's not so much more of them being aware of you. You have to be aware of them, because you don't know if they're paying attention or not. And I'd much rather pay attention for them for my safety than rely on them. Morning. I did a walk a couple years ago on the interstate, which, fun fact, you're not allowed to walk on the interstate.
What?
No. And the funny thing is that I started in Smiths Grove. My goal was to come down to this exit down here on Cemetery Road and stop at the IGA. I got all the way from Smiths Grove to the Corvette plant exit, but a sheriff's officer passed me, never said anything. State trooper rolls up on me. He's super cool, and he's like, "What you doing out here, sir?" And I said, I'm walking for veterans. This is a veteran cause I have." He's like, "Oh, okay." He said, "Well, you're not supposed to actually be walking on the interstate." And I was like, "Well, I feel more safer out here than I do on our city streets." He said, "Well, we can do one of two things." He said, "I can give you a ride to where you're going, or we can get you right down there off the on-ramp and you can go from there." And I was like, that's where I'll go, because I'm not done with my walk yet. So he did. He gave me a ride down there, and then ended up leaving my phone in his car. So had to go down to the Shell station, call the KSP post, and he brought my phone back to me. So yeah, just a little known fact: don't try to walk on the interstate. They won't let you.
You brought up like an interesting point. You said that you feel safer walking on the interstate rather than walking on our streets here in Bowling Green. I mean, what do you think that has to say about this car-driven society that we live in? Like, well, I mean, that surely that can't be good if you feel safer walking on a place meant for cars rather than a street meant for walking.
Yeah. So this sidewalk that we're on right now, it's pretty wide. There's a pretty good gap from the road. So this spot right here, I feel a little bit more safer. But like walking in the middle of town around the square and whatnot, there's not a lot of safe spots to walk. And people are on their phones more now, and they're not looking forward, they're looking down. Whereas on the interstate, there's a long way off that you can see. Of course, you hope that people can see you coming, but you can see them coming more. And there's a huge emergency lane that you can walk in. And as long as you walk to the far left-hand side of the road, you know, I felt like I had more time to react than I do on city roads. And it just felt more safer than sometimes in the city does. But it's still illegal to walk on the interstate. Learned it the hard way. My very first encounter with somebody actually pulling up to me, I was walking in Glasgow. Cars coming towards me, and it's on an area where I know they shouldn't be slowing down, but they're slowing down. So I've got eyes on them, they've got eyes on me, and I'm thinking, what's this person stopping for? Because the era that we live in now, I mean, you can't really trust people, man. That's the world we live in. And so he stops, he gets out, he immediately throws me a salute. So then I'm like, okay, this is cool. And you know, I never know whenever people slow down and stop what their motive is. And thankfully, in all the years that I've been doing this, I've never had a bad encounter. Nobody has gotten out and said, you shouldn't be doing this or whatever. But you have to be very, very cautious with people nowadays, because the world that we live in, it seems like it's easier to be negative about stuff versus positive about things. And they always think that you have some kind of ulterior motive that isn't good. Like the direction we're walking today, it's hard to see what I'm carrying. So they'll slow down and they'll creep by. And once they see that it's an American flag, then they'll either beep or they'll hoot and holler or whatever. But in the back of their mind, you feel like that they're thinking that I have something bad to say here. And then they realize that it's not. And you know, I've been doing this long enough now that on the same paths that I walk, I see a lot of the same people, and they know who I am. They know why I'm doing this. But say around Western and everything else, where you have a lot of college kids that are just here for the school year, they haven't seen me or whatnot. And so they are very, very tedious about walking around me. They're very skeptical. I wish that they would come up and talk to me, because I would love to be able to say, hey, find a veteran and just simply sit and talk with them, because you're going to learn some kind of life lesson. And I've learned some of the biggest life lessons from veterans, just talking to them and getting their perspective of life and everything else, because some of them have seen some really bad things and whatnot. But trusting people, man, it's hard to do anymore. It is.
So kind of circling back to the flag, I mean, what is it that makes people think that you're holding a flag, he has something to say, or he has something bad to say? Like, what is it about maybe the political culture nowadays, just society, you know, kids, adults? Like, what is it about the flag, or why do you think they think that?
I mean, I don't have any conclusive evidence or anything else, but people believe that other people are entitled to say whatever they want to say. Now, keep in mind that it is our right to freedom of speech and whatnot. It's gotten so bad in the world that people always think that what they're going to say is something bad. You know, it's always either negative or hate-driven or whatnot, and it's hard to believe that people are going to have positive things to say, that people want happy things to happen to other people. And so the symbol of the flag, I guess that they think that I would use that to push some other negative thing. You know, maybe I have something else besides just the flag on there. You know, I have some message on there or whatnot, which I would never disgrace our flag. When it comes to America and everything else, you know, obviously you're entitled to your opinion, and it doesn't mean that we have to be at odds with each other about it either. But if you're not in the position to change things, like a political position or whatnot, sure, you can have discussions about it, but there's not a whole lot that we can do about it. You can vote and everything else to put those people in power, but that's one reason why I want to crush the thought about why I'm doing this. Is it has nothing to do with pushing an agenda of changing political thoughts and things like that. No, I carry this flag to honor veterans. Like, I can go out and do this at any point in time of the day that I want to, because somebody fought for my freedom to be able to do that. I'd say we're a quarter of the way there, 3 miles. I'm just really glad that the weather's cooperated. I mean, if it's raining, I'm still gonna do it.
So you will walk rain, sleet, snow, whatever weather?
Yeah, weather. I mean, now obviously, okay, if it's 35 degrees and it's raining, no, I'm not gonna do that. That's pneumonia weather, and I'm not about catching pneumonia. But again, you think about why I'm doing this for veterans and everything else. They don't get to pick the weather that they're out in, and they're out there doing it in way worse conditions than this. So as long as I know that, like, it's not severe weather, then yeah, I'll go out and do it. We had snowstorms back in January. I'm not afraid to admit that I ate concrete a couple of times, but it is what it is. You know, you just get back up and keep on going.
The grind doesn't stop, and when you fall, you just get back up and keep going.
Right. And that's pretty much the story of life too, you know. I mean, life will get you down, but you can either choose to let it get you down, or you can just keep on going. One day it may not be the best, but the next day may be even better. A person has to go through a lot to understand that. I've had a lot of days where things have happened, and this is my escape, you know. Even if it's just a mile or if it's half a mile, go out and you just sweat it out and get that out of you, because you don't want to take that home to people who don't deserve it.
Right, so walking is kind of your escape. It's your way of kind of blowing off steam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's the mentality of going out there and pushing yourself. Forget about what's happened in that day, because it's the past. I mean, 2 seconds down the road is the past, and you can't control what's already happened. You can just focus on what you can do to better the situation the next day. And so I go out and I focus on walking. I focus on just walking ahead, getting that exercise in, and getting all the negative thoughts out of my head and whatnot. Because, I mean, if you sit there and you stew over it, all you're going to do is be 10 times as mad as you were before, whenever you were actually dealing with it.
So when you're walking, are you kind of contemplating things, or are you using it as a way to kind of escape and purposely not think about those things?
So during my walk, I'm thinking about veterans that I could talk about, but also I always try to give a positive message out. You know, I'm trying to be a creator on TikTok, and I try to convey positive messages. So during my walk, I'm thinking about what I want to say as far as, you know, what can I say to people that might actually make them have a better day? Because I have a 6-mile walk generally every day, and I have 5 miles to figure out what I'm going to say.
I've seen your TikToks.
Yes, sir.
I like them. They're motivational. They're inspiring. What kind of made you want to do motivational TikToks?
So I am a person who suffers from anxiety and depression. And the big thing about anxiety is you're always worrying about whatever. So I know what it's like to deal with that kind of stuff. And I know that there are people out there that are suffering, that they suffer in silence. They don't feel like they have people to rely on and everything else. So my TikTok content, I try to say something positive, either about letting people know that the world is a better place with them in it. Even if it's just getting out of the bed and trying to participate in life, that you are succeeding. And you know, you may not have the greatest accomplishments in the day, but you know, just setting the goal of getting up and going out, that's an accomplishment in itself. And that you should always be proud of yourself, because ultimately it's you that has to make yourself get up. And one of the phrases that I use on my TikToks is, I love everyone, because I mean, that's one thing that our world is lacking too, is people loving on one another and encouragement. You know, I want people to feel like if they were to see me out and say, hey, you're that guy, that they can come up and talk to me and say, you know, hey, look, I'm struggling with this. And I mean, I won't obviously have the answers for them, but maybe I can say something to them to make them feel just a little bit better, even in that moment, you know, because we don't have enough encouragement in the world, and we have people struggling every day. And a lot of people, you know, they feel like it's a lot easier just to give up versus to try. So, you know, whenever I walk, I always try to make a TikTok to promote positivity.
So Jim, I know you say you walk often, you do it almost every day.
Yes, sir.
What is it about the repetitive nature of walking that you like?
Obviously, cardio is a good part of weight loss. It helps build endurance. When I first started doing this, I was walking the track up at North Warren Elementary in Smiths Grove. And after 30 minutes of doing that, I was exhausted, whooped. And you know, now here I am now. I've built up enough endurance to where I can go out one day and do a 6-mile walk, go out the next day, do a 10-mile walk. And so walking and building your cardio endurance is good for your health physically, but it's also good for your health mentally, because you have time to think and time to focus on something that you need to focus on. Or it's the exact opposite. It's just time to escape. I mean, people might say, well, how's walking a workout? Go out and do a couple of miles of intense walking, and you'll see what kind of a workout it is. It works up your legs and your thighs and all that stuff, man. It's good stuff. Walking is can be a big part of your exercise program.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a cramp now. After about 4.5 miles, I'm starting to feel a little bit of a cramp.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Jim, you know, walking 9 miles, I heard that when you told me that's how far you walk. I thought, okay, yeah, that's a long while, but I can do that. That's no problem. That's no problem at all. And it's tough. It's tough for sure, you know, because you're constantly going.
I have a genuine respect now for runners. You know, my big gag that I have when people say, oh, he runs. No. This guy right here does not run. The only running that I do is I run out of money. I've heard, I don't know if there's any scientific proof to it or not, but walking is actually more intense though if you're doing it for longer periods of time. You're sustaining yourself because you don't have to stop if you're used to it. and you just keep on going. And then after 9 miles, man, you feel like you've done a marathon. You're sweating good, hopefully. So yeah, it's good for your body.
Yeah, even on this walk right now, I mean, we're about 5 miles in at this point, and we've been out here for getting close to 2 hours, but the time has flown by.
Yeah.
I mean, we're having great conversation. We're enjoying the day, philosophizing a little bit, you know.
Seeing the people go by, honking and waving.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the big. That's a big motivation too, man. Is seeing people honk and wave and stuff. I mean, there's been some times that like I've been struggling walking, and they'll drive by and they'll honk and they'll wave, and it's like, okay, it's time to kick it up again and keep going. Got to keep going. Dump the sweat out and just keep on going. And we just hit 6 miles.
Yes, sir. I got that notification too. Okay, so we're here at a pretty busy intersection right now. We're on Scottsville Road and Lover's Lane.
Yeah.
You ever get nervous like crossing a big intersection like this, or?
When I first started doing this route, I did. Sometimes it won't trigger for me to walk, but I mean, I'm not so much nervous anymore. Yesterday, whenever I walked though, like traffic was really bad. And so I had to be super aware of who was coming. It can be sketchy sometimes. You still feeling good?
Yeah, feeling all right. I can really feel it in my legs right now. And I know after this, I'm gonna be cramping, I'm gonna be sore, and I'm not gonna want to walk around for like the rest of the day probably.
You'll really feel it whenever you get in your car, you drive to wherever you're gonna go, and then you go to get out of your car. And then you're like, oh, I don't think I can get out of the car. I'm at 13,000 steps. So we'll be probably between 15 and 18,000 before we're done. And it's all before 10 o'clock too.
So Jim, what is it about outside, walking outside, that you like? Why do you choose to walk outside and not, say, inside, like a mall?
So in a mall, it's a confined space. It's exercise to a certain point, but outside you have inclines, you have just different aspects that you can work different parts of your body. My legs are burning by the time I'm done, my arms are burning, everything feels like I've worked it. I wear a sauna jacket so I can sweat it off. And I mean, it's good exercise, great exercise. Somebody's got some good food going. Smell it, smells like barbecue or something. That's the bad thing. You pass these restaurants when you're walking and you're like, oh, I really want that food. You have to say no, not gonna do it. That's the other part about exercising and stuff too, is controlling what you eat and everything else. And it's a really big thing to discipline yourself to not eat certain things or drink certain things. And if I go out to a restaurant or whatnot, and if I order a hamburger or a hot dog or whatnot, I always, if I can get it without the bun, then I'll get it without the bun. But if it comes with a bun, I'll take the bun off. And people are like, that's so un-American. How can you eat a hamburger or hot dog without a bun? I mean, once you realize what that can do for helping you maintain your weight, I don't drink carbonated drinks, and that's a really big thing.
So do you think walking, eating, do you think a lot of that is will and the will of the individual? Like,
absolutely. What's easier, getting up and saying, I'm going to go out and walk 6 miles today, or hey, I'm just going to lay here and relax all day? It's a whole lot easier to lay in the bed and do nothing, or sit on the couch and watch a movie or whatnot. The same with eating right. The saying is if it tastes good, it's probably not good for you. Well, it's hard to focus on eating the right things, and having a milkshake versus a protein shake. Protein shakes don't always taste the best, even though they have different flavors for them. They still don't taste the best. So you have to will yourself to say, yes, I'm going to commit to this way of eating, commit to this way of doing stuff, because in the long run, it's going to be better for me. I mean, for some people, it just comes natural for them. That's the way they want to be. I know that I'm never going to be a super muscular person or whatnot, but I know that in what I have done since 2015, to get myself in better shape, that I'm a lot better than I was. It's a lot easier for me now to say, hey, I'm done eating, I don't need to eat anymore. Or I know what I've got going on for the day, I need to make sure I space my meals out and whatnot. Because if you get yourself on a particular diet and you get away from it, it doesn't take long for where that becomes the habit of being out of your habit of what you're doing.
Right.
We are at 7.34.
7.34. So we about 1.5 miles left,
Give or take.
I will say right now, it's definitely heating up.
Yep.
Starting to become. It's what time is it?
It is
8:30?
8:37.
Okay, you know, it feels like noon right now.
Yeah, it does.
That's what the heat is feeling right now, but I think it's just because we've been out here for so long.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, in my previous walks, like it feels like it's zoomed right along since we've been out here talking and whatnot. I wish I could get more people to go on walks with me. For the longest time, I would always announce, hey, I'm gonna walk this time or that time, and try to get people to walk, and nobody ever came, so I pretty much quit asking. A lot of people know that I do this every day and every morning, and it would be great to have more people to come out and walk. That's another thing that I try to do, is encourage people to take responsibility for their health and everything else. But, you know.
So, have you ever had anyone join you on the walks?
I've had a couple of people. I do a 4th of July walk. I have a veteran friend, his wife, that joined me. They've joined me for the last 4 years for that. But as far as just normal meetup and walks like that, nobody generally joins me. It's just generally me.
Man, to me, you're like, you know that one scene in Forrest Gump where he starts running and then everyone starts joining him? Man, I feel like people should be doing that. You know, maybe they bring their own flags. They bring maybe a flag that means something to them or something.
Well, I have some friends that are veterans. Again, I did what they call a ruck with them. They said if you want to bring a flag, you can bring a flag, but it was a veteran awareness walk and all that stuff. There's also a cause called Carry Forward that I did with them around the square and everything else. We carried flags for that. I mean, I would openly welcome people. If you want to come walk with me, bring your flag, because I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, people love seeing it. There are people that absolutely love seeing it. Veterans love seeing it. And it promotes so much positivity, because you're showing that you care about where you live at. You understand the sacrifices that were made for this flag. And you know, my favorite quote of all time is, the flag does not move because of the wind, it moves because of the last person that died defending it. And I mean, that just means so much to me. And I mean, yeah, I openly encourage people to come walk with me and bring a flag. You won't ever tell me not to bring, or you hear me tell you not to bring a flag.
The more I talk with you, Jim, the more I am kind of seeing what you're trying to do with the positivity. And I think nowadays we're so primed to, when we see the American flag, we have a certain idea in our head. Whether you're on the left side or the right side or in no side at all, like we are primed to think of certain things when we see an American flag.
Yeah.
You have people that appreciate it, you have people that maybe don't get it or think you're trying to say something mean or not positive, but really it's all positivity.
That's right. I want people to have their best day that they could possibly have. And that stems from myself having some really, really, really bad days where I was by myself. I wouldn't necessarily say I didn't have people, but I felt like I didn't have people to encourage me, to lift me up. If I can make a difference in somebody's life, even for just a little bit of time, then, you know, that means the world to me. That's all I want to get out of it, is somebody to have a better day. Having a better day is so much better than having bad days. And it's a lot easier to have a bad day than it is a good day. So the stigma with depression and anxiety is one of two things. Just try not to think about it and it'll be better. Or just take medication and you'll be fine. Well, first of all, with depression and anxiety, you never stop thinking about it. Whatever it is that's bothering you, whatever has puts you into that mode of depression or got your nerves worked up so much, you don't ever stop thinking about it. Medication, yeah, it's there to help you, but it doesn't take it away. It helps to suppress it some, but again, it's always gonna be there. It's something that is totally overlooked. And the thing about mental health awareness and issues is it's a lot easier to fake a smile than to talk about what's bothering you. And so that's why people are very unaware about mental health awareness issues, is because you don't ever know what somebody's going through because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to burden people with what they're going through, with what they're dealing with, and they struggle in silence. Generally, it takes someone who is dealing with those issues themselves reaching out to others to get those people to talk about what's bothering them. I mean, I don't want to say that they can tell that they're going through it, but like I can sometimes pick up on somebody that's not doing so well. You just notice their tics, so to speak. They're sitting there and they've just got this stare out, or their legs are bouncing, or they've just got the fidgets and stuff. You'd be surprised if you walk up to that person and you just say, "Hey, you okay? You doing all right?" Sometimes they won't talk to you, but then there's sometimes that they do. And you would be so surprised how much you can help somebody by just listening to them. I've sat many times by myself worrying and wondering about stuff and just wish that I had somebody to talk to. But I don't reach out to anybody because I don't want to bother anybody else. I mean, I know everybody has their own problems to deal with, so why do they need my problems to deal with too? But little do people know that reaching out to someone else and letting them help you, you're helping them, because now they're not focused on their problems, they're focused on trying to help you. And it gives them a little bit of a break from what they're dealing with. So mental health, man, it's a very, very big issue, and it can be a little problem and it can be a big problem. It's never the same for any two people.
No, you're definitely right. And one thing I notice, is men specifically kind of bottle that in. They don't talk about it. There's pressure to be a man, to act like a man, and to sometimes be stoic and not show any emotion. What do you think, and you touched on it a little bit, but what else do you think we can do as men and women to help lift each other up? Is it motivation? Is it being someone that they're able to talk and listen to? What do you think about that?
So as a man, giving advice to women with dealing with men with mental health issues and stuff like that, first of all, try to be understanding. We want to be strong for you, because we, like you said, that's the mentality, is that men have to be strong, and men can't show emotion and all that stuff. Men need to show emotion. They need to get it out occasionally, because bottling it up, it's gonna eventually come out, and a lot of times it comes out in a way that it shouldn't. So be understanding. Encourage men to be the best that they can be. If you see that they're struggling, lift them up, give them that positive reinforcement. And if they fail, don't lecture them about failing. Just say, you know what, you tried your best, go out tomorrow, try even harder. If you fail again, just keep on trying, because you may fail 96 or 98, 99 times, but it only takes one time to get it right. And as far as men to other men, if you see some guy struggling, don't make fun of him. You could be the one sitting there, wondering how you're gonna make ends meet, or you're gonna be the one wondering why you think your kids don't want to see you or love you or whatnot. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why you could be struggling, and that could be you. So if you see another man struggling, you do your best to pick them up, because I'm sure, just like me and you are talking, you go through your struggles. I don't know what your struggles are. If I can do something to help your day be better as a man to a man, then, you know, that's what the world needs. We need to work better at picking each other up. It's a nice car. Nice car. We're almost there though.
You are. I got about 8.5 miles.
Yep, we got about half a mile to go. We're almost 3 hours into it, man. Are you feeling all right?
I'm feeling it in my legs a little bit. You know, I'm kind of walking a little stiff. I skipped leg day this week, so maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, 18,000 steps that we've taken so far.
It's a lot of steps.
Yeah, we'll be over 20 by the time we're done.
That's a lot more steps than I usually take on any given day at any given moment.
Yep.
Probably a given week,
Yeah.
honestly. So you do TikTok, right?
I do, yes. We're at my TikTok spot here. I stop and I make a TikTok. It's just, you know, another positive thing that I try to do. And then I also thank a veteran every day that I walk. And today, if you're up to it, I'd like for you to join me on my TikTok.
I'd love to.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's make a TikTok.
All right. Good Saturday morning, everybody. It's so beautiful out today. Listen, we've had rain just about every day this week, and today the sun is shining. And that's the way that life is. We never know what's going to come at us, but on those days that are bad, we get up and we go, and on those days that are good, we get up and go. Regardless of what you're going through, just always get up and put the effort in. I love you guys. Go out and have a great rest of this Saturday. Do something awesome for yourself or somebody else. And always remember to thank a veteran for their service. And today I got my good friend Jared joining me. Come on out here, Jared.
Hey, I'm Jared. Got almost done walking 9 miles with Jim. It's a beautiful day outside. We're sweating, my legs hurt. And today I'd like to thank my brother Derek, who is a Navy veteran. Derek, we love you, man. Thank you for your service. And yeah, keep on rocking in the free world.
All right, guys, have a great rest of the day. We'll catch you on the next one. Just like that.
Why'd I do Nardwuar, man?
Keep on rocking in the free world and do.
At least you didn't do the double pistol fingers.
Yeah, no, that. Should we get back to it?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Woo!
On average, I have like 300 views on my TikToks. So what? That's 300 people that maybe they watched the whole thing. Maybe they didn't. Plus, I post them on my Facebook account, my Flags for Vets page, and all that.
If you're reaching someone, if you're able to touch someone's life, I mean that's really what matters at the end of the day. That's all sweat right there.
Sweat.
Wow, you're sweating a lot, Jim.
Yes.
Now, do you ever get tired of holding the flag? Is that like an extra? Is it not that heavy, or does it kind of add to the exercise?
It adds. I mean, it builds up arm endurance. Swapping back and forth, you know, because I mean, you got to think you're holding your arm up there. There's nothing holding your arm, so it helps with endurance for your arms and stuff. And I never get tired of carrying it. I mean, it means a lot more to the people that have defended it and everything else. And I've thought about ways that I could probably attach it to myself to where I wouldn't have to carry it, but then that defeats the whole purpose of what I'm doing. I'm not out here to be lazy about carrying it. I always try to acknowledge police, fire, EMS. I'm a corrections officer, not technically a first responder, but I am considered law enforcement. And I have mad respect even before that for law enforcement. I was a volunteer firefighter for many, many years, so that's why the fire departments, all them, I try to acknowledge them. And then I work at the hospital, so EMS, they are the biggest unsung heroes there are out there. Almost there, we're in the last stretch. Good morning.
Since we're kind of getting to the end of our trip here, this might be a difficult question. It might be too general, it might be kind of a loaded question. What are some things as a country that we can do to bring people together to maybe limit a lot of this divisiveness we've been seeing in the last 5 to 10 years?
First things first is people need to stop thinking they are entitled to whatever they want. If you want something, work for it. If you feel like you've earned something, fight for it. The second thing I would say is always try your best to be the best person to everyone else. Try to understand that not everybody has a good life. They may be portraying that they have nothing going on, that they may have something going on. So always try to be understanding. And the third thing I would say is try to help anybody that you can. There's a whole lot of they can do it themselves versus I maybe can help somebody. And if we get back to helping people, goodness reflects goodness. So if I'm good to you, somebody might see that, and then they might go out and be good to somebody else, and then so on and so forth. And that's how things get better, is by positive impacts and being an example. If you can be an example to somebody of how to be a good person, you can affect more people than you could possibly think. The world's in trouble right now, man. So much more negativity and stuff going on. And I'm not just talking about overseas. We got enough of it here that we need to be working on. And it's so easy to turn a blind eye to people versus trying to help. And don't assume you know everything about everybody. Without asking and talking to people, you don't ever know what's going on. We just hit 20,000 steps.
Almost there.
Almost there.
I've never wanted to be in a car so badly before.
That's another thing, gives you motivation. Like when you get in that last stretch, you're like, just a little bit longer.
I feel like running. I feel like sprinting to my car right now. We'll keep walking.
No.
If I were to run, I'd probably be,
Yeah. Pull the hammy.
my leg.
Over there.
Yeah!
9 miles.
Woo! Did it, Jim.
You did it, man. I'm proud of you.
I don't know if my legs will be okay. They feel like they might fall off a little bit, but I think ultimately I will be okay.
You want to go another couple of miles?
No.
Okay. Well, now, guess what I got to do? I got all this sweat that I got to get rid of.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get my flag put away.
All right. Oh!
All sweat.
I think a little bit got on me.
Sorry, my bad.
Jim, man, I really appreciate you. Today was awesome. It was a
great.
beautiful day to go out on a walk, and
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you telling me about what you do and why you love walking.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed having you. It was a great walk. A lot of honks, a lot of waves.
Yes.
A lot of sweat.
A lot of sweat.
Yeah.
A lot of sweat.
A lot of sweat.
And a lot of cramps,
Yes.
too. Awesome. Well, Jim, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. We'll catch you
Have a great
later.
rest of the day, and I'll see you soon.
We'll see you.
Well, folks, there you have it. That's Jim, the American flag walker of Bowling Green, Kentucky. I hope you learned a little bit about Jim, why he does what he does, and heck, I hope you were even inspired to take a little walk yourself. Well, guys, don't forget, thank a veteran for their service, and I'll see you on the next one.
Keep on rocking in the free world and do-do-do-do.